fucking hickey. Videos, I've largely glazed over the larger sexual side of the fandom. And while that might put some parents at ease, I realize I've left out a part of this fandom that is largely misunderstood. That's not to say it's a large part of the fandom, but it does exist, and skipping over it isn't the right way to go about it either. So we're gonna fix that. Many furries that engage in the more lewd interests that exist in the fandom often have to hide those interests because of the perceived stigma of being associated with these interests. You might have noticed anytime someone comes out or is outed, there's a lot of pushback, fallout. It doesn't end very well usually. To combat this, I've decided to begin a series on these more after dark topic in collaboration with real furries who have these interests to help demystify and hopefully destigmatize these interests. Now, a disclaimer before we get into it, I don't necessarily share in many of these interests. In fact, in today's video, it's not something I'm actively interested in. I just want to know more about it. Hopefully, by learning more about these aspects of the community, we can all learn to appreciate each other and be respectful of each other, because after all,
you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals.
So let's figure out how some do it for a series on this channel. Now, hang on, people. I can practically hear you going to the comments. Like I said in other videos, many of the topics here aren't ones I have a lot of familiarity with, and this goes especially for today's topic. Yes, in the past, I've had my odds with this topic in particular, but a large part of that was a lack of understanding and information. I should point out that I am neither a baby fur or a diaper fur. It's not really my thing, but I get it. And this video is meant to untangle some of the misconceptions commonly associated with these communities. So before you scamper off to the comments, give me and the people who are kind enough to offer up some insight a chance. Well, fuck. Alright, so we asked the community to help us with this piece, but understandably, the interest has a lot of misinformation, assumptions, and stigma attached. So to be polite, we referred to all contributors as anonymous, or anon. All 17 of them. Honestly, you 17 are extremely brave, and I salute you. Out of this group, 41% said that they identified as baby furs, while 59% said they identified as diaper fur. Now, if you're a dipshit like me, you probably assume that diaper furs and baby furs are terms for the same heckin' thing. It's not. I'm a big stupid. Took me a minute to realize that one when trying to do this video, but they're not the same thing. Baby furs, from what I gathered from this group that responded on a survey that I posted, are more likely, but may not necessarily, identify as little, or regress mentally to an age younger than their own. More specifically, baby, 1 to 4 years old, little, 5 to 10, or kid, 10 to 14 years old. Also emphasized by this group was that those who regressed into this state of mind didn't feel anything sexual towards their caretaker or the person who fills the role of parental figure, like, you know, like your mom. Contrasted with this, the concept of diaper furs, from what this group had to say, tends to refer to furs in the community that assign more of a value to wearing diapers, whether that be sexual or not. In some cases, furries who are more active in the diaper fur community may do so because they're in a medical situation that necessitates them to use diapers anyway, possibly making the best out of their situation, which you might say could be a shit situation. I'm going to hell. I'm sorry. Okay, let's keep going. Others may turn towards diapers for comfort. It just entirely depends on the person, man. Similarly, some, although not all, see the donning of a diaper to have a more sexual appeal, much like any other kink you might find in the bedroom. However, it's critical to note that this isn't the case for everyone, and if it is, they tend to keep it in the bedroom only. These same people may also be baby furs, but not all baby furs fall into the diaper fur category. Baby furs could be diaper furs, but they aren't necessarily diaper furs. But you confused yet? Don't worry, I'm told that's completely normal. To put it succinctly, baby furs tend to focus on the more headspace aspects of regression and acting and thinking more in a childlike manner, whereas diaper furs focus more directly on the action of wearing a diaper, but don't necessarily need to regress mentally to enjoy their interests. Zelda, shut the fuck up! Still confused? Don't worry! That was a lot for me to wrap my head around too, but we're gonna get through this together. It's gonna be fine. Now, there's obviously a big fat elephant elephant in the room when it comes to this topic, and that's probably one of you behind your keyboard typing, "What rage, aren't you against cub porn? Isn't this kind of pedophilic?" About that. So here's the thing. I am 100% against anything that harms animals or kids. Let's be crystal clear. From diving through the information provided, no, babyfurs are not pedophilic. In these situations, both humans, like actual humans, I know we are like anthropomorphic animals, but like really, we're actually humans, just don't get it twisted. Both humans in this situation are, or at least fucking should be, consenting adults if anything veers into the sexual realm. Members of both sides of this community, both babyfur and diaperfur, are diametrically opposed to the idea of harming minors and hate pedophiles just as much as you and I. Now, we did mention that some, not all, Susan, babyfurs do also identify as diaperfurs. Specifically, when looking at the 17 people that responded to our survey, 60% of the babyfurs that responded also identified as diaperfurs, while 30% did not, and 10% weren't really sure, and that's okay. Curiously, we also saw some interesting splits in the gender makeup of babyfurs versus diaperfurs. While both groups heavily over-indexed in cis male respondents, diaperfurs had a bit of a stronger majority. About 63% of people who were diaperfurs identified as cis male, while only 40% of babyfurs responded as cis male and 20% responded as trans female. One other big surprise I had while sorting through the data garnered from the survey was that a strong majority of both groups responded that they found it easy to be a babyfur in the community. Didn't really have much of a problem. Of those who did find it difficult though, most commonly respondents cited critical misunderstanding of the two interests, opening up to new people who may not understand the concept or accept them for it, and the general stigma surrounding both. Anyways, into why I really made this video. Obviously, this group has faced a lot of hate, especially with some less than stellar representation in clips like the rainforest video by internet historians and other media. So what do they have to say? Here are a few responses that might make you think.
Thank you so much for making this video and for trying to help the babyfur community and diaperfur community be more understood. I greatly appreciate it, and just thank you so much for being an open-minded person and for allowing me to be a part of this video. Do you identify as a babyfur? Yes, I do. I do indeed identify as a babyfur. Do you identify as a diaperfur? Yes, I do identify as a diaperfur as well. How do you identify? I identify as cis male. What about the babyfur community appeals to you? So for me, the big thing that appeals to me about the babyfur community and the furry community at large is the sense of community, but in particular for the babyfur community, it has to be the sense of nostalgia. I am a babyfur because I use regression, using things like cartoons, pacifiers, plushies, toys, things like that, to build on nostalgia, because I do suffer from anxiety and I have suffered from depression, and it helps to cope and relieve the stresses of daily life. I don't do it all the time, but I do it on occasion, and when I do, it helps to ease my stress levels and it helps my mental health exponentially. So that's what I really like, having a community that understands this, and a community that helps me to indulge in this whenever I feel it necessary. What about the diaper fur community appeals to you? So for me, the baby fur community and the diaper fur community are separate. That's just me personally, because I do have a sexual fascination with diapers, and I find that this is largely related to the fact that it can be translated back to a fetish. Simply like, some people are interested in latex, some people are interested in rubber. I feel like it is just a thing that I am attracted to because of the feel and likeness, which makes sense considering that I'm actually legally blind, so, you know, the odds of me being attracted to something based on touch or feel or sound, that's not very far-fetched when you really think about it. But that's what attracts me to the diaper fur community. Is the same thing as always, just the sense of community, but also the fact of knowing that, hey, I might be weird, because we're all weird, but I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that feels this way, and I'm not the only one that has this attraction, and it's okay to have that attraction. Have you found it easy or difficult to be a baby fur in the community? I found it pretty easy. But then again, I think that just has to do with the fact that I am an open book, but I'm not the type to flaunt things. So if somebody asks me about my baby fur interests, I will gladly talk to them. But if they don't ask, then I don't bother telling, because I don't feel like it's a necessity to just scream it from the mountains. I really don't. So that being said, with nobody really needing to know everything, I think that's what's kept it from being any kind of problem or there being any kind of backlash toward me personally, is that like I said, I just don't flaunt it, and I think that that's the respectable, mature way to be about it. Have you found it difficult to be a diaper fur in the furry fandom? No, like I said before with the first one, I think there's a little more stimula attached to the fact that this particular niche can be a little more sexual than baby fur, and so people, you know, when you say diaper fur, it obviously focuses and encompasses more on the diaper aspect, so I could see that having a little more backlash. However, I personally have not experienced much of it, because I am a very intimate person, and I have only expressed love and sexual interest with my partner, so it's not something that anybody else really needs to outwardly know. What is your favorite aspect of the furry fandom? Oh my favorite aspect of the furry fandom is honestly the sense of community and the entertainment. There is so much creativity in this community, and I know it gets driven into the ground, people saying this, but it is true. There is so much creativity in this fandom, and I love seeing all the art styles. I love the music, the movie making, the animation, all that stuff. It's just so cool to see that these people are creating things from artwork to fursuits to music based around a hobby that they love, and it just truly is inspiring. It's what's always kept me coming back, because I see people that are on fire for their passions, and it inspires me to be on fire for my passions and to do everything that I aspire to do in my endeavors. What is your least favorite part about the furry fandom? Obviously, this is a simple question to answer for most, and I'm no different. It's the bigotry and drama, and I'll be short and sweet with this. It happens in every community, and you can't avoid it. It's just human nature. There's always hypocrisy. and that's just the way that it is, sadly. But it does annoy me, but if I do have to pick one thing, that is the one thing that I don't like about our fandom. But like I said, it's a small nitpick thing because, I mean, other than that, there's not really too much that I dislike about this fandom as a whole. What is one struggle that you've had with being a baby fur in the community? So this is not something that I would say is a struggle anymore. It used to be. And this had to do more with myself, not with the fandom. I was fearful. I am a very open-minded person, but I know that not everybody is that way. And I worried and struggled with myself for years about this fetish and about this interest. As I said, both of them being separate. And I worried that it would be deemed too weird for people to accept. You know, I worried that I have friends, but if these people knew, you know, if somebody rats me out, if somebody tells somebody and they know, then they're just going to leave in a plethora of hatred, and then I'm left all alone with nobody. But I've come to learn over time that, you know, my years of being in this fandom, that the people that are really your friends will love you, and they will support you and stick by you. And to me, that's one of the things that's not only kept me in this community, but it's one of the things that's shown me that there's hope for humanity, and shown me that I can live a happy life the way that I want. So yeah, that was a struggle for me, would be the fear of somebody finding out, or the fear of rejection, which I think we all can attest to at some point in our lives. But that's not something that plagues me anymore. Name one or more terms or phrases used in the baby fur or diaper fur community. Okay, I can give you a few. So, the first phrase being baby fur, if it hasn't been talked about in the video already, if so, then we can just skip this, is a furry character that is usually between the ages of newborn and 3 years old. Then up from that, you have what's called a kid fur, and that is basically a furry character that is still young, not an adult, but it's from the ages of 3 to 12 to 16, depending on who you ask, but essentially still a minor, just not a baby. Let's see. So, other terms, you're going to have short form words in the community, just like you do in general conversation nowadays. So, when people in the community are talking about diapers, they might say dipes, or they might say padding or pants, short for pampers probably. And those words all essentially mean diaper, of course. You'll have words such as passy, which is short for pacifier, obviously. You have the phrase bab, B-A-B, which is essentially just saying, you know, you're a baby fur, you're a bab, you're whatever. So those are just some basic commonalities. Obviously, I would mention stuffies, which are plushies, but I'm almost certain that other members of the community use that anyway, outside of baby fur and stuff. So those are just a few, though. There are quite a few. Probably the most important one that I almost forgot to mention is ABDL, which is the community at large outside of the furry fandom that is into age play and age aggression and little space, which, okay, I'll cover all three of those. I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I'm trying to get as much information as I can. So, let's see. Little space is basically when you regress into a younger age than your physical self, and you do this as a coping mechanism or for some sort of mental gratification. other than that, you have what is, like I said, called ABDL, which is the community at large, which stands for Adult Baby Diaper Lover. This essentially lumps baby fur and diaper fur together. And basically, an adult baby is somebody, as I said, who, using things like toys, cartoons, bottles, pacifiers, plushies, whatever, uses those to regress, be it for mental reasons or for just recreational fun reasons. Everyone's different. And they just use that now. The DL stands for diaper lover, which obviously is more of the stimulated side when someone is more intimate about their kink and fascination with diapers and the like. So that is basically what that is. So the ABDL community is basically the larger lump sum of the Babyfurs/Diaperfur community in the furry fandom. It looks like that's all the questions. So again, thank you so much, Ragehound, for doing this. Thank you for letting people like me be a part of it. It means so much that you're going to be, you know, a pillar of the community and actually be like, hey, it's okay. I don't agree with it, but I may not understand it, but these people are cool. They're fine. They're not hurting anyone. Let them be. And to me, that earns the utmost respect. So thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Love your videos, and hope to work with you again in the future on a music collaboration. So thanks, Ragehound. Peace out.
Now, if you still think baby furs are weird and diaper furs are gross, I can't really stop you. But I do hope this video made you think before you make harmful assumptions. Before you form an opinion on really any interest, kink, or subculture, take a moment to do a bit of research. While listening to stereotypes as though they are facts is considerably less effort, it'll leave you ultimately less well-informed. Or as my mama put it, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. As I mentioned previously, everyone who submitted to the video will remain anonymous out of respect for their privacy. So kindly don't try and go digging for their information. Many prefer to keep their interests private unless they're around trusted friends and peers. So respect that. I'm sure I'll likely get a bit of hate for showing compassion to baby furs, but it was high time someone did a respectful and neutral video. And if you have a problem with that, and after my inevitable hangover, bye!
Uh